Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mothers have practically built themselves. Hello, folks. It's Mad Dog Murph. Welcome to my end of the year show. And, well, I do this every year, mostly for myself, to help me remember all of the really cool things that we did during the year, all of the wonderful things I get to relive again. Sometimes you forget about it. And I know I do this time of year when it's so cold and nasty and gloomy outside. I tend to forget, the good stuff. And we had a great run. It was a wonderful year. So come back with me and let's join Mad Dog Merv and see what all we did this year. Not all of it, but just kind of a brief synopsis and see what we got to look forward to next year. Shall we?
So it was about this time last year that I acquired that collection that a friend of mine was wanting me to help him liquidate. We got most of it moved out, but there was some built and unbuilt pieces that he let me keep as kind of a reward for helping them. And remember, a couple of those I took and I rebuilt them, made them into some really nice display pieces. We started a new piece on the channel this year
Called What's in the Tub or What's in the Box? What's in the tub, man?
I'm going to start out with, let's see. This is a custom built vehicle.
And we'll continue to do what's in the box pieces from time to time this next year. We also looked at Operation Downfall, which was the invasion of Japan that never happened. And speaking of history, particularly family history, I have a hero firefighter in my family line, and we looked at some of the things that he did, how he lost his life in the line of duty. And, well, this year I got the Blazer. I was so tickled to be able to get a four-wheel drive vehicle that I could take off-road and do some exploring with. We got it painted. We did a little bit of fixing up with it. Believe it or not, I'm still into this thing, less than $2,500, and it's working great going into winter time. One of the first places we took it off-road was camping up in the Uinta Mountains, and found out that yes, I can definitely sleep in the back of it. It's fairly comfortable, and we had a great time on that trip. Speaking of a great time, we introduced you to Cookie, this silly dog, and she was a lot of fun on that trip. She was so small she could sit there in the front, all passed out and snoozing. Speaking of taking things out on the dirt road, remember we went to the sand dunes this last springtime. That was a whole lot of fun with my brother-in-law. In the Blue Blazer, well, we went out and we explored some old ghost towns. Here is Yosepa, that one that the Polynesians built out in the West Desert. We went to look at Garfield, Utah, which is at the point of the Western Mountains here in the valley. Very interesting history behind Garfield. And we went out to Lark, which is kind of the other end of the valley on the west side, and did a little piece on that, looked at what was in that town at one time before it became a ghost town. Well, we, as always, celebrated my birthday the first part of May, and here was the invite we had for it. It was a wonderful time. Of course, you're going to have brats at my birthday party, but what was wonderful is I got my 3 triplet sons together, as well as other family members, and we had a great time. Speaking of parties, I retired after 42 years of service with the Salt Lake City School District in July, and there were a couple of parties that we had associated with that. I'm not sure if they were just happy I was gone or if this was a good send-off or what exactly, but it was a great career, and it was nice to be able to retire. I did do some painting of figures this year. We did a lot of painting of figures this year. It was a subject, particularly World War II figures, that just seemed to really resonate with me. There were these gals that I have for a diorama project that we looked at. There were these dogs, resin 35th scale dogs, and we all know I'm a big guy when it comes to Marines and the dogs and the Pacific. It's just the thing that I like to model the most. And so now I have several Marines with their dogs. Well, speaking of dogs, we got introduced in the springtime to Cookie. She was a husky mix, several other things in there. And this is my daughter's dog. Got it for my special needs grandson there. And you see what a cute little thing she was when we got her. Just a cute, cuddly little dog, but she grew quick. Here we are on one of our trips, snuggled up together. And she also liked to snuggle up in the pillows at night.
Out here enjoying the morning and surveying the scene. Looks like somebody got into some garbage and has been chewing things up. Somebody is having a battle with, I believe it's a fly, but something that was bugging her. I don't know, maybe it's a bee. I see that. Not a bee, but a wasp or something. This weirdo. This morning, my breakfast partner, well, she's found her a nice comfy spot here at the table.
She was my breakfast companion every morning during the summer, and we had a wonderful time at breakfast together. She'd wake me up at 7 a.m. in the morning just so we could go out and have breakfast. Here she is in the late summer in her favorite spot in the whole yard, checking out the neighborhood. Unfortunately, when I left on one of my trips, the day that I came back, she was very lethargic and not feeling well. Wasn't sure what was up with her. So I got her over to the vet, and unfortunately he diagnosed her with a terminal disease. And, well, here's my sweet girl, right before she got sent to the other side. It's been very hard for me to deal with, and it was even hard to put this segment together, but I was finally able to do it. I just couldn't do it any earlier than now. So that morning we brought her home in this box. I had breakfast with her one last time before digging a spot in her favorite spot on the side of the house. And shortly after I interred her in the ground, the next day I had a landscaper come by and install some brand new lawn back there. So rest in peace, dear Cookie. On a lighter note, I did a lot of reviews this year. 52 of them. We did one every week. We did things like these trikes. There was still a couple of those that were brand new coming out, and I would build them once I reviewed them. There were a bunch of tanks that came out, and some that I had in the stash. There was this really cool EC-135 aircraft that we reviewed, and we did some tutorials on how to repair how to repair this hole in this fender in this car. So there were a few of those tutorials we did, and we built a few cars as well. There was the several segmented pieces that we did on the Coke Charger. That was a lot of fun, especially those those decals. Wow, you ever need to know how to save decals? There was this fun truck. We reviewed it, we built it, and it looks awesome. Same with the Corvette, the Austin Powers Corvette. I love how this thing turned out. Of course, there were my favorite builds, the Mustangs, this convertible that we made out of a fastback, and this fastback Shelby that turned out really well. I painted up some more artillery shells for my friend at Kitlinks, these 1-to-1 shells. They're awesome. We went and did some fun places this year. This one was the Outlaw Distillery. We got to taste test as well as learn about how these spirits are distilled. That was pretty neat. Went to Flogfest, and that was a lot of fun to go and participate with my son in that whole thing. Unfortunately, that's when I came back and Cookie was ill, but it was a fun trip nonetheless. There was the trip to the Shelby Museum. I had no idea the Green Hornet was there. Wow, that was definitely a fun trip this year. We're always trying to do a few new things on the channel to keep it interesting, and this Lunch with Mad Dog Merv is a new segment we're doing every month. Oh man, there's going to be some good ones coming up this next year because there's some great food here in Salt Lake City, and we all know that, well, I love food, especially pizza. There's some other great pizza places as well. For the Halloween season this year, I made some HO scale figures, including Eddie and Alex Van Halen. Wanted to do a little tribute to Eddie, and we had a lot of fun building figures for the Halloween season. Remember, we did this Blackbeard the Pirate because pirates are a big thing for me in September, October. We did the Forgotten Prisoner. That was a lot of fun for the Halloween decorations. I got some great Halloween decorations. It really is my favorite season to decorate for. On the train side of things, we repurposed this tunnel. We made a couple of toxic ponds. That's a lot of fun. It's always fun to make a toxic pond, with the blazer there in the back.
Okay, you can see that
We made this pirate ship that
really-
glows in the dark, and to me, things that glow in the dark,
Wow,
oh yeah,
really
they're
sticks
extra,
out, doesn't
extra
it?
special. A lot of fun to build, a lot of
Lanterns
fun
turned
to
out
look
pretty
at.
good.
Learning new things, I learned how to make this lava field, the simulated lava field. I love how it turned out. And, well, here's the layout. The whole shebang, which is now sitting over at the new hobby store. But all of those components we worked on for 2 months really turned into a really neat layout for Halloween. Oh yes, the new hobby shop, the new marriage between Kit Links and MRS Hobby. Here's my friend Doug of MRS Hobby. Someday we're going to interview him because he's got an amazing story. Here's the warehouse at Kit Links. We kind of went around there a few times and looked at that. But this hobby store, oh my goodness, this thing is just so amazing. To me, having been in the business before, this is it. This is the quintessential model shop of all model shops. Well, something that happened this fall that I didn't tell all you guys about was my elder sister, one of my elder sisters, I've got 3 of them, passed away. My beautiful sister Linda, and you can see this picture taken back in the 70s, just an absolutely stunning beauty. I do have very beautiful sisters. Here she is a while back, getting married to her husband, and I absolutely adore this man, Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, and there my dad was at the wedding. Great picture, and I miss her so. She was my editor for so many things that I would write and get published, and I really miss her. Another new thing we started here on the channel was Up Ship Creek, because I have built a lot of model ships in my lifetime. Probably more ships than cars, believe it or not. And we just haven't covered it a lot here on the channel. Remember, there was this lagoon I did in 1/700 scale. We went and looked at my friend Chris Allred's Vestal and Arizona's in 1/426 scale, and there's going to be a bunch more coming up this year, trust me. Also, we went and looked at some old schools. And we're going to continue to look at old schools. We're going to look at this particular one this next year. This one has an amazing story. It's not here in Salt Lake City, but it is here in Utah. And it is for sale if you want to move into it. Speaking of history, we looked at some of the old drag strips that were here in Salt Lake City, and we are going to continue to look at more and more of them and study that history a little bit in the upcoming year. So if you're into race cars, that should be a lot of fun. Well, folks, I hope you have a happy holiday. Hope you have an amazing new year, and happy holidays from me and my family here at the house. My daughters Madeline and Anastasia, and Nick, Finley, Emily, and Aspen. Hey folks, have a good New Year's. Be safe.